This is my father-in-law, Desmond Devitt, who was born in Dublin at the end of the 19th century. You can see that he's in First World War British uniform, and that's because he left home wanting to have a bit of excitement in his young life, and he joined up for the First World War. And because he was keen on mechanics, he was put into an ambulance unit to maintain the ambulances. So he found himself going backwards and forwards to the front, collecting dead and wounded soldiers. This is my grandson, his great-grandson, who is Henry Walker, and 2 years ago, in 2018, 3 years ago, he discovered at the end of the road where he lives a list of the young men who had lived in that road and had died in the First World War, and one of them was called Henry Walker, just like him. So he became very interested in the First World War, and it reminded me that his grandfather, my husband, late husband, and I have this First World War German doll, and my husband had always wanted his grandson to inherit it because it's the only thing from the Irish side of the family that we have. The question is, how on earth did an Irishman get a German doll? And the answer is that one day when he was driving to the front, he saw an arm come up out of one of those ghastly shell holes full of mud and dead horses and all this sort of thing. Cut a long story short, he rescued the man, although you weren't supposed to, put him in his ambulance, handed him over to a first aid group, and completely forgot about him because he had so many others to help as well. And it was only much later that he discovered that this was actually a German soldier that he had rescued. Anyway, it came the end of the war. He went back to England and became a motor mechanic. And a few months after the end of the war, possibly even a couple of years, we're not sure exactly, a parcel turned up covered with stamps and readdress labels, and inside was the doll and a letter in German. So he had to find somebody to translate it. And it turned out that it had come from the mother of the boy he had rescued, the young man he had rescued. And she explained that she was so grateful to this kind English, as she called him, soldier, that she wanted to send him a present because her son had just died of his wounds. But she had had him to look after for 7 months. And this was the present she sent, his favourite toy. Now, obviously he was more interested in cars than dolls, so it was put away, and sadly it has lost colour, become very dusty, has some damage. There's a piece of rather bad mending at the top here, holes, but the saddest thing is that it has a leather pickelhaube, leather boots, and the leather knapsack and leather ammunition bag and belt, and all the leather, unfortunately, is not very happy because it hasn't been looked after properly. I would love to know whether it would be possible to make the arms work properly as well. So that is our German doll. It is a Steif. There are many, many nails on the bottom, each with Steif written on it.